Coming up, we're talking to OrCam and Google launch glasses-ish.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Hey, Shaun Preece, happy Tuesday. And, I'm getting a bit sick, to be honest, of hearing about new product launches, especially those that aren't really product launches. They're just showing off prototypes. I'm sick of prototypes. I'm sick of potential. I'm sick of the letter P, quite frankly.
Well, that's ridiculous, Stephen Scott. You were saying just the other day, let's be more open and honest. Let's not keep things secret anymore. And when a company comes out and says, hey, here's something we're working on, you say, well, don't tell me about it until it's released. Well, you can't win with you.
No, I that's not what I said. When it comes to work that's being done to make a product accessible, shout it from the rooftops. Don't hide behind an NDA. Don't go into private consultation about it. Talk to people. Talk to everybody. Tell us. Tell everyone what you're doing, because then more people will be respectful of you and pleased that you're doing that. Admit your foibles. I like that word, foibles.
Foibles.
Is it foibles or is it foilables?
You're asking me, the king of words.
I have absolutely no idea. If only there was something around here I could ask. Silly? No, forget it.
The new Google glasses, maybe, which weren't launched. Let's be fair
they weren't
here.
Launched.
This was a preview of the glasses.
Another P word I don't like. I don't like preview. I don't like potential, prototype, any of them.
All right, a sneak peek. Oh, that's
peek. There's another one.
A sneak look at the AR glasses they're working on, which were running Gemini, and they had a camera in them, and it could see, and they were putting things in front of it and asking. Look, it's cool. And we were just saying the other day when we were talking about the Envision glasses. The Google Glass was discontinued, and hey, maybe Google will come up with something soon, and boo, there you go. This is what they're working on next. So this is a good thing.
Yeah, so they did show this off to some degree, a prototype of it at the Google Cloud Next event. I never miss it. And, it was a great opportunity to learn about Google Cloud. Look, it's fine. It's fine. It's all right. It's whatever. It's
look, we are all a little bit AI'd out.
I think we are. I think that's the problem.
At the moment. We are just waiting for, stop talking about it and show it. I am with you there. But I just think this is really the first confirmation we had that Google are going to release something.
Yeah, well, I was reading that Samsung apparently showed off their own kind of mixed reality headset called Project Muhan. That sounds too much like Wuhan for me, and I think they should have rethink that one immediately.
Okay.
Wuhan makes me terrified. Muhan makes me excited.
It makes you think of cows. I like it.
Yeah, but apparently that was in January. I don't remember that. I don't ever remember hearing about that project, but there you go.
Well, that's because we hear about project.
I know.
Project.
Okay,
just tell me when I can buy it.
Meta had, of course, Project Orion. They showed that off at Meta Connect last year. Again, I think we're just getting tired of it. We just want to see products that are actually, available that we can go out and buy and actually test out. And then we complain, of course, because I've got to buy all these products now. I know, we're never happy, are we? Anyway,
it does confirm that there is there's some smart glasses coming from Google. We now have that to add to the mix to make it more complicated for those people thinking, shall I buy now or shall I wait?
Well, it does exactly show us. And, importantly as well, I don't have much detail in terms of how these things look, but what tends to be happening is they seem to be going down the traditional glasses look for these, rather than what Google Glass was originally. We were talking about this the other day. The style of them was a bit kind of weird, and it was a bit out there and a bit futuristic. Whereas these are traditional glasses with the camera in them, with the audio in them, and they have that tiny little screen in there as well, which Google Glass had originally as well, and others will too. I just hope that it's audibly representative as well as visually representative when you use these devices, because if it relies on the screen, we've got a problem, and I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Potential.
Well, here's something we do know about, because another word that begins with P, which can be described or can be used to describe Apple intelligence of late, is poor. And this was interesting. So Wayne Ma, who writes for the Information blog, I guess it is, has put together a detailed report, full of detailed files, outlining how Apple Fumbled Siri's AI makeover. And of course, it goes into a lot of detail about what went on behind the scenes with the Apple employees throughout this past few months and what's been going on, and indeed years of AI and Siri development. And there's a lot of things to pick up on this. 9to5Mac say that Matt notes that Apple struggles in AI seem partly tied to the company's militant stance on user privacy, but just as significant in poor leadership. So that's quite interesting. I mean, the first part of that is not a surprise at all, because that's what Apple are all about. They're all about privacy. But there's some interesting stuff in this, because as we all know, Apple got a lot of flack for showing off AI features that weren't really able to be demoed at all. We never saw. I remember WWDC last year, we all left feeling like, God, where was the demos of this stuff? They talked about cool features. But apparently, some of the demos that were shown in the video, and there was one particular video that was shown, I remember it well, the Siri team at Apple had showed off someone, it was a woman, and she was booking a flight, I think, and then she had to change the flight and then book lunch with her mum. I shouldn't have to book lunch with her mum. She wanted to book lunch with her mum.
Yes.
But, she was doing this, and she was using Siri and Apple Intelligence for this, and the end result was, looked amazing. We're like, wow, that's great. Actually, apparently that didn't even have a working prototype at that point. So the team itself were apparently surprised when they saw the video, saying, have we done that? Have we got that thing?
Sorry, but that means that was faked.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I haven't read this original article. I've just seen the articles referring back to it and picking out details from it. Is this confirmed? I mean, is the word allegedly used in this a lot?
Well, look,
rumored.
We need to read the full article to see what Apple's response is on this. That's not detailed in the 9to5Mac article that I'm reading here. But, there's no doubt that there has been a lot of stuff going on internally at Apple to either push the company forward. There's a lot of criticism of particular leadership who are now no longer in those positions. There was a huge shake-up at Apple.
That's true.
And we do know that was the case, that Craig Federighi in particular was brought in to manage the company. I mean, so one of this just feels a little bit like internal gossip, but I find it quite amusing.
Manage the department, we should say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Manage the department. He apparently, and others in Apple, had given this team a nickname, a rather unfortunate nickname. The article calls it uncharitable. So this was a team running AI/ML, ML of course being for machine learning. That was the name of the team. Internally, they were known as aimless because they had quite a relaxed attitude. Apparently, according to this article, they had quite a relaxed attitude towards the work they were doing, and also one of the key tenets of building Siri out was that everything had to be done internally. So internal models were being used. There was really no opportunity to think about or even think about the idea of bringing in other companies or working with other companies or creating other models through open source third party. That was just not part of the conversation. Now, to me, if I'm honest, that sounds very Apple. That sounds like a direction that Apple would have taken anyway. That seems like exactly something Apple would do. But apparently, it was the team leader, the guy in charge of this, who was making that decision. And that has now changed. So under Craig Federighi's leadership, just in the past couple of weeks, one of the things that has changed, and according to this article from The Information, it states that now they will look at open source third-party models to gain essentially the information required for Siri's big brain. I think that's great news. That's really, really good news, because it's frankly about time. And it's the only way. Look, it's the only way, Shaun, this is ever going to start to improve. If Apple are going to build all this internally, well, clearly, based on what we've seen already, it's not capable yet. It's not capable of doing it. It's barely able to handle its own stuff. The other day, I wanted to call a restaurant to book a table. Now, it's funny because that's usually the example given in every single demonstration you can think of. So I asked it for the phone number for the restaurant, and it gave me the number. And I went back to Siri, and I said, here's your number for this restaurant. And I then evoked Siri again and said, can you call this number? And it responded, what number would you like to call? And I'm thinking,
yes.
What? This is worse than Shaun Preece remembering things. I have just asked you for a number. What do you think the natural response to that's going to be? Oh, well, thanks for telling me a phone number. Because you know what? I just fancied knowing a phone number today.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? Would you like Apple to introduce an AI service which is just like all the others on the market at the minute? Or would you prefer to wait and Apple to get that internal device only data set AI service? Do it the Apple way. Would you rather wait or would you rather just go, okay, just be like everyone else?
I think at this point it's not going to be like everyone else. So I think we can discount that option right away. I think what's more
if you're
likely...
using third-party data sets, why wouldn't it, or data models, I should say?
Well, okay, then it brings it up to scratch with others. That would be nice.
That's
okay,
what I'm saying.
Yes, okay, that would be nice. Let's imagine that hypothetical. Right, it's not going to happen, by the way. I guarantee. I have almost a guarantee because I feel that whatever is going on with Siri, it's just not capable of dealing with that. It feels to me like Siri needs a complete rewrite from the ground up, and that is some of the rumor that's coming out from Apple Park is that they are pretty much going to have to start from scratch. Now, that brings in the bigger point, which is, okay, so if we go down that road where Siri has to be pretty much rewritten to buy some time, the best thing they can do is essentially turn on the Chat GPT or the Google Gemini hose and connect it to what Siri is and just make it work that way. Or even just bypass Siri altogether, allow you to change. Like on your Android phone, you can choose which assistant you want. Maybe that's what we do in the short term, just to get us through this period. If you're saying you want that equivalent experience, because you're not going to get
you're
it.
Saying.
Well, that's no, but you're asking me if I want this. And I'm saying,
Yes.
well, I don't know if I do want that. I'm saying I want access to the other options at the moment because those ones work.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think, if Apple would just ease off and allow more system level access to the other AI apps out there, Copilot or Gemini or whatever, however they want to do it, I think that would be a step in the right direction. I think you're absolutely right about Siri. It totally needs just tearing down and starting again. I thought they had done that at one point, but obviously not enough. It is absolutely terrible at the minute, and I think everyone can agree on that. It's funny. This Siri was a third-party app when Apple bought it, and it worked much better back then than it does now. It's got steadily worse. Is that lack of maintenance or what? I don't know what the thing about that is. But if I could just get Siri to concentrate just on my device, going back to the WWDC thing, that lady doing the, hey, I'm meeting my mother for lunch and look, check my calendar. That's what I want it to do. I want it to be able to search through my calendar, search through my emails, and do a Google search. That would be enough for me to get me through actually just using my phone in a great way. Give it some memory.
That tell you, though, how broken it must be?
Yes,
that it
does.
Can't even work off the data that's on my phone. That to me is really what Apple Intelligence was, right? Apple Intelligence to me wasn't really the kind of Chat GPT equivalent. It just didn't have that, and I never really expected that. When I think back to that WWDC event, I kind of almost saw it, and the way it was kind of presented to me, at least the way I read it, was that it was essentially Apple Intelligence was for everything on your device, your calendar, your messages, your phone, all your apps. You could surface up conversations or information like, what was that phone number that someone sent me the other day, or what time am I meeting Shaun on Tuesday? It could just give me that answer, and then everything beyond that was essentially through the firewall via ChatGPT. But what we're getting now is poorer responses than ever on Siri on pretty much anything you ask it. And any question you ask that isn't related to content on the smartphone, it's throwing it straight to GPT every time. So it hasn't got any internal brain, really. It's just like it literally just says, I don't know, let's ask ChatGPT. And what it says to me is, okay, in that case, I'm just going to open ChatGPT and I'm looking into other options. If I want those embedded features using the sort of information in my phone or in my Outlook or whatever, then I'm going to look to Copilot. Or I'm going to look to Google, Gemini, or I'm going to look at other ones because they will have more access specifically to what I'm looking for. And that will probably be the case in the future anyway, right? You're going to use different ones for different purposes. Like if you live in the Microsoft bubble and you use Outlook all the time, then Apple Intelligence may not play much of a part in that. It may not be able to. Maybe it'll connect in some way. Maybe they'll figure that out. But they have so much to sort out right now. It feels to me like they are pretty much having to start from scratch.
Yeah, but they've got the resources to just, 24/7. Let's get this sorted.
But do they have the time? Did they have the time? Because the thing is, we're coming up to a very interesting point, right? This year is going to be the iPhone 17, based on all the projections, the tariffs that are coming in, and who knows where that's going to end up. But at the moment, the price of these iPhones is going to go up sharply. Now, Apple have already said that they will try and absorb some of those costs, but there will be price hikes. Okay, so it might not be as much as the analysts are projecting. It might be not $3,500. It might be that phone that costs $1,000 might go up to $1,500, something like that. Okay,
might be more. By the time we get
and
there.
who knows exactly? I mean, it's changing all the time. I mean, I watch CNBC with popcorn now because it feels like even the presenter. I was watching in the UK we have ITV News, right? The evening news. The presenters couldn't keep up. The news was changing like minute by minute. They were having to sort of adjust themselves as they were going along. It was like, I can't keep up with all this stuff.
It's ridiculous.
It is wild ridiculous. At the moment. And for businesses, this is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. So, huge companies like Apple are trying to figure this out, to figure out the next steps. So, okay, let's just for a second take a pause and let's get to a point, or let's imagine we get to a point where the iPhone is $2,000 and people are having to make a decision. Do I want to upgrade to the iPhone 17? Now, I know there's subsidized carrier options and stuff like that, and I get all that. But let's just for a second imagine that that's the cost. I think people will be looking at these phones and, we'll be looking at the Apple Intelligence features and looking at Google Gemini and looking at what else is out there from other companies and saying, do you know what? If I'm going to spend the money, do I want to buy a new iPhone? Is this the moment? Is this the moment for me where I think it's time to move? And there was a conversation for a long time. If you were blind, you'd be thinking, no, I'm quite comfortable with my iPhone. And I am 100% comfortable with my iPhone. I have issues with it. Clearly a lot around Siri, but we'll park the Siri one, right? I mean, just looking at everything else, I'm comfortable with it. But I'm really excited by the features that are coming out from Google Gemini. The integration, of course, with Android, being on my phone, the potential of new glasses. Yeah. They're moving at a faster pace, and I think that if Apple's not careful here, they're going to fall behind in the AI race. And, well, they've already fallen behind as far as I'm concerned. There's not all the apologists out there who will say, oh, no, Apple are going to sort it out and it'll all be fine. You know what? Yeah, but at what cost? That's the thing. At what cost? Because if people are faced with a choice in September or October when new iPhones come out, they might look at those prices and say, maybe I should look at a Samsung. Maybe I should look at a Pixel. Maybe I should look at an Android option.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? The phones are great. They're fantastic, and the features are better.
And they've already made the big move of putting AI as the main assistant.
Right up front.
That is huge because when they do make that leap from, let's take live video, for example, from being this passive thing that needs constant, pushing to being proactive and will tell you things, that is just an update on the server side. That will roll out to every phone that's already running Google Gemini. And that's a deal changer, especially in our community, right?
Of course it is. Of course
that's the killer application. So, I think you're right, actually.
It's a dangerous moment, I think, for Apple in this one.
It's dangerous everywhere.
Well, that's the thing, and I think we're just kind of coming up to that crunch point. You've got price increases, and then you've got the feature set. What am I getting for the money? I'm already hearing people saying, we've had a number of emails in from people saying, I don't think I'll upgrade this year. Now, those are the same people last year who were saying, I think I'm going to hold off on the 16 and I'll get the 17 because that might be, a better phone. I think Apple needs to be careful on this one, but it's difficult because, of course, they're fallen behind. And, you can apologize for them all you want. They are behind because look how far on everybody else is. Like I said to you, you know what? I think I said this to you yesterday or last week. If Microsoft were to turn around now with a phone, I think that would really shake things up. I don't think they'll do it, but
no,
I think they've tried it. I don't think they want to go down that road again. I think there's more chance of Amazon bringing back the Fire phone.
All right, let's not go there.
No, that's not going to happen.
It's almost a perfect storm, right? Take away the AI, but with the tariffs as well.
Yeah,
we've already seen the news that laptop companies are starting to cancel or block orders in the US. Framework have stopped any of their new laptops being ordered in the US. We're hearing that Lenovo are thinking about this as well. Razer have done this as well. Dell. I mean, this could change. We know this is so uncertain, but this is going to have a huge impact.
Yeah, but it's a domino effect, isn't it? And even if tomorrow all these tariffs were scrapped and everything was back to normal, it wouldn't be back to normal because huge amounts of money have been lost. So, it's going to take a long time. This has a huge impact on the economy. And the best example of that was most recently with COVID. Look at how the world stopped and essentially stuttered, back into life in 2021, 2022. And, at that point, good luck trying to get a new computer. I remember in 2020 when you could not get a computer for love nor money. They couldn't make them fast enough. And then they had to shut the factories down. And so they were trying to get stock around and move things. And of course, there was challenges with that. This has just amplified that again. And of course, we're coming off the back of all of that. This mess that has been created by this one individual. I remember sitting here saying, one man can't change the world. Clearly that's rubbish. Yes. Because honestly, I mean, what a mess. It's interesting to hear Elon Musk talking now. They always say nothing's a problem till it happens to you. Well, Tesla stock is way down. And the reputation of Tesla's on the line. Let's be brutally honest about it. And so as such, I think... clearly he's changing his mind on a few things. I've heard rumors of fallouts between Trump and Musk. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But when that fallout does come, well, it's not going to be pretty, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the trouble is we're all caught up with the fallout of everything at the moment. It's just, yes. Oh,
all I can say on this is it's not a reality TV show. Please, can you understand? This is real life. It's not a reality TV show. This isn't keeping up with the Kardashians. This is real life. This is people's jobs, people's careers, people's livelihoods, and they are all impacted by this. We are all impacted by it. Whether we think we are or not, we will be impacted by this in some form, and it is utterly terrifying. But, focusing in on Apple and this AI situation, I do think this is a dangerous moment because, look, I think people are not going to be buying much. Consumer confidence is way down already. That index is already clear that people are not buying. They're starting to save money. And of course, we all know what impact that has on the economy. And so are they going to lay out serious money on devices like this? I think, you could often say, well, people love iPhone, they'll buy iPhone anyway. There'll always be those people. But that number may shrink because I think people are going to be looking at the features. What am I getting for that money?
Is there too much importance put on AI? Does the average guy in the street really care about AI yet?
Maybe not, but I think it might. Not. But only when it comes to buying a new device. I think then it might be a question mark. Yeah, I think people might be like, well, do you know what? Because look, a lot of people upgraded for Apple Intelligence, right? That's why they bought the 16 Pro.
That's true. Yeah.
Look what they got for it, So, yeah, a lot of people disappointed at what's happened here. Clearly, someone screwed up. I mean, I love when they start doing all this. Heads must roll and Tim Cook must resign. And it's like, yeah, that's going to solve it. That's really going to... What, does that make Siri better? So if Tim leaves, do I get better Siri? No, I don't. And it doesn't matter who leaves. In fact, I didn't want the guy who's responsible for it to be sacked. I want him in the room being shouted at daily, saying, look what you did. Look at the state of this thing. I want you to sit in a corner and ask Siri questions all day. That's your punishment. And cry yourself to sleep at night.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's such an interesting time, though. But yeah, an interesting article. I will say that it's been picked apart a little bit by some of the magazines. You can go read like The Verge and the Wired and I think 95 Mac I was mentioning. I've got it as well. But the full article is behind a paywall. The paywall, it's a pretty expensive newsletter or blog to sign up to, which is, I often think sometimes it's like, I'm all for paying for things that should be paid for, right? Journalism shouldn't necessarily be free. I think we have fallen into this trap, and it was because when the internet came along, everything just get published on it, right? Everything just get put up there. And the biggest mistake was that they didn't put it behind a paywall right then. If they had done it then, because we paid for newspapers, we paid for access to news for long enough. So, instead of just giving the content away for free, now people, rightfully, journalists want to be paid. But of course, the problem is lots of people get used to getting it for free. So, if you are going to put something out there, you've got to make it affordable to people.
Yes, exactly. Affordable or free. That's your only two options, really. Otherwise, people aren't going to get it anyway. But then you've got AI scraping every news service out there trying to get information, so they can't win either
Well,
way.
again, I have some sympathy for journalists on that.
Yes.
But I think about the companies who allowed that content to get up there for free in the first place. And that was the mistake. You see, it goes back to the same conversation I have about apps and services when they come out and they say free, or one-time payment. And then suddenly, the developer thinks, this is actually a problem because I need to eat and, I need to heat my house. I need to look after my family. I need to, pay for fuel for the car, whatever it is. And suddenly they've no money. And so they have to put a subscription on the app and everyone's up in arms. If you had done that in the first place, it's a tale as old as time because developers keep doing it. Oh, well, especially in our community. Well, we wanted to give something back. Okay, but you're not really giving anything back, guys, if at the end of the day you have to take anyway. So wouldn't it be better just to be honest? Again, it's just about being honest and upfront, right?
Bite the bullet. Yeah.
This is going to cost this much. I remember a guy years ago, I used to listen to this radio station. It was like an online radio station back in the day when they were really popular, just these little homegrown little radio stations people were doing. And I loved it. I used to sing along in the kitchen all the time to this. And every single day I'd put it on. And I went to the website and they had this thing where, I thought it was quite funny actually. They had this thing where it was like it cost $100 a month to run this radio station, right? That was obviously his running costs.
Okay.
So he had this little thing. It was like a duck, and he said you have to. Ducky needs his bread, and the bread costs $100 a month. And so if you can donate towards the bread budget for the duck, I'm like, what kind of bread is this duck eating? But essentially, that was how he got his money, and I contributed to that because I thought, well, why not? Right? This is the right thing to do. He was open and upfront about it, and I think that's the thing. Companies have got to do more of this. They've got to be upfront. Because back to what I said at the top about being open. Just talk to us about what you're doing. Stop. I know developers want to do nice things for blind people and all that.
It's true.
Come on, let's get real.
But they
here.
may start off with a feeling that they've got another revenue stream in place to cover the cost to the end user, so they don't have to pay it. And that may, for no fault of their own, fall away.
That can happen. Yeah, that can happen.
So
that's fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So what's your point?
I'm just saying they could start off that way and it could change without, things do change. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Sorry, I was going to get some emails on there, but we didn't get a chance. We're going to speak to OrCam in a minute, but first, here's how you can get involved with Double Tap.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Yeah, hey, get in touch with the show at any time. And of course, we'll get to your feedback on tomorrow's show. But right now, I'm so pleased to say this, Shaun. We're going to be joined by a company that we've been trying to get back on the show with us for a while. Of course, a lot's been going on with them. And finally, we have Corinne Nero joining us from OrCam. Lovely to have you here with us on Double Tap. Corinne, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. We appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, I'm so glad you're here because, we've been emailing, we've been calling, and I thought, have you fallen out with us? Do you not love us anymore? What's going on? I felt lost and alone, Corinne.
We were ghosted.
Well, I'm sorry about that. We're here now, so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so what's been going on? Because look, the last time I heard about OrCam, there was a story doing the rounds that you guys were getting out of the visual aids market. And then more recently, I heard that wasn't the case. What is actually going on?
So that was quite a bit of a rumor. So it initially kind of stemmed from an article that was released saying that OrCam is gravitating towards hearing aid products and staying away from the low vision and blind market. And that is not true. They have changed their business model. So we have had some internal changes. But we still have a development team. We're still supporting low vision products. We're still developing new low vision products. So we are still active in the market and not going anywhere.
Okay, that's very cool to clear up that confusion. I don't mean to sound rude at all, but there was radio silence for a lot of people were asking questions, existing customers who were worried about support for their existing, OrCam products. but there was very little information going out socially, or to the public. Was there a reason for that?
I don't know exactly what the reason for that is. And I want to say that it stems from a lot of the internal changes that we've had. So we've kind of changed our business model in a sense. So we don't have a direct call center anymore. We're not selling directly on our website. So what we're doing is we're using local distributors, and that really helps our clients essentially because they're getting in-person training and in-person support from our distributors instead of selling directly. And so we've had some change of staff, and that may be stemming to why we haven't heard anything like publicly. But OrCam has released a statement. If you go to orcam.com, it's right on our homepage. So you can see a statement from OrCam directly saying how they are still supporting and developing low vision products and not planning to leave the market.
So to be very clear on this, someone who's bought an OrCam product will still get support. Nothing really changes, really. This was a blip in the road, and we just continue on. Is that what I'm getting from what you're saying?
Exactly. So we still support the products. We're still developing and selling new products. The main difference that people are going to find is that you can't go to orcam.com and buy an OrCam there, but we do have a section on the website that kind of says where you can buy it locally.
Okay, I just want to clarify this. So someone who's bought a product from you directly needs support, let's say. What do they do? Let's say that person's in America. Let's just pick Oregon, for example, right? Let's say they're there, because I like the sound of Oregon. That's probably not the right way to say it. But
I don't know how you say it.
I don't think that's right, actually. I think I've said it wrong. So apologies to the Oregon people. But so for someone in that situation, can they contact you because they bought it from you, or should they find a local distributor?
Yeah, if they purchased it from OrCam directly, we still have support. So even if you purchased it somewhere else, you can still call OrCam and get support over the phone. There's also a section on the website that you can go and complete a support section, and somebody would contact you. So we still have a support team regardless of where you purchased it. So none of that has changed.
Oh, very good. Lots of people will be happy to hear that. Let's talk about the products that you're doing at the minute, because there's also been a little bit of confusion about the products that you have. So can you give me a quick rundown of what you actually have available at the moment?
Sure. So we have two versions of our wearable, My Eye. We have a My Eye Pro 2 and a My Eye Pro 3. And then we released a new handheld device quite a few months ago, maybe about 6 months ago. It's called the OrCam Read 5. We have 3 different handheld versions now. So we have the standard Read, we have a Read 3, and then we have a Read 5 as well. So we carry 5 devices.
Yeah, because I was interested by the Read 5, because I'd heard so much in amongst all the noise about what was going on at OrCam and all the confusion around what was happening. I kept hearing about this device called the Read 5, and I've yet to find anything about this that I can find tangible information about it. So what is the Read 5? What is new essentially about it versus the 3?
And where's the 4?
Where's the 4? Yeah, what happened to 4? Is that like Windows 9? It just didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know why they skipped 4, but the Read 5 is honestly, it's one of my favorite devices. It is the same kind of hardware that you're going to see on our previous versions of the Read. The main difference is it has a portable AI assistant. So when I use the device to capture an image, I could then hold down a button and talk to it fluently, like I would talk to a friend who was reading it for me. So if I was reading a bill, I could say, what's the total due? How much was I charged in tax? When is it due by? What's the phone number? And it's going to jump and pull that specific content right off the page without me having to read through the whole thing.
Wow, that is nice.
Yeah.
And is it like your other products? Is that on device, or does that require an internet connection?
So when it's offline, it just has the ability to read a full page. Yeah. But when you pair it to the new OrCam app, that's what gives it the internet connection to use the AI to process that and be able to process your commands and your questions.
Got you. And is AI being implemented in any of your other devices? I'm thinking of AI in the My Eye, for example. Yeah. My AI.
That's not confusing at all.
It is. So we just released a new feature for the My Eyes. It works on both versions of the My Eye. As long as you pair to the new app, it gives you the what's in front of me feature. And it's essentially like a scene description mode. So you, at any point, as long as your phone is nearby, you can say, hey, OrCam, what's in front of me? It will capture a picture and then it describes the environment in depth. And then it does allow the user to ask follow-up questions. So you could say, is the door open or closed? Is it my right or my left? Or whatever kind of information the user needs. It will process those requests and then give it to you as well.
Oh, very nice. And what AI model or service are you using for that? Or is it something you've developed it yourselves?
It is made by OrCam.
Oh, very nice indeed. Mm-hmm. Okay. And is there a subscription for that extra AI service?
There is not, no. We also have an AI on the Read 3, the Read 5, and the MyEye 3. It is essentially like a magnifier. So all of those devices can be plugged into a computer. It uses like a web-based magnification program. And so it can magnify, it's a live feed of your reading content, but there's also AI and the AI assistant available on the computer for those devices. It can translate, it can read handwriting. So you've got quite a few more options when you connect it to a computer.
Very nice. Now, I'm not asking you to, tell tales out of school here as to what was happening internally, but was the changes of OrCam, was that a reaction to the other products that came onto the market?
I wish I had a little bit more information on that. As a sales consultant, sometimes I'm not involved in some of those discussions.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm sure that probably had some kind of impact on it. We have a lot less sales reps now than we did before. But that's why we work a lot more closely with our distributors.
And are there any new products you're working on that you can talk about? Or not, if you want to give us an exclusive, that'd be great. That you're working on that maybe you're taking some of the changes that are happening. With things like the Meta Ray-Ban. Let's be honest, it's very popular in the blind world at the minute. Is there any products you're looking at other devices and saying, yeah, I think we can implement that in a next new, maybe the MyEye 5 or whatever it's going to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, our development team is always working on new technology and advancing what we have and making it better. I can't talk to too many specifics on what's coming next. Aside from we're releasing an accessory for the MyEyes, which includes a carrying case that should be coming within the next month or so. But as far as features go, not a whole lot I could talk about yet.
And you mentioned the OrCam app, to do with AI. Has there been any other changes with that? And what can people expect from the OrCam app?
Yeah, so we formerly had an OrCam Read app and an OrCam MyEye app, and they were a little bit cumbersome as far as pairing the device. It did require a user to enter an email and a name, and it was a little bit more challenging to do. So they completely redeveloped the app. The OrCam app, there's only one available in the App Store now. And it will work for any of our devices. So whether you have a Read or a MyEye, any device can pair to the app. In most situations, it's just an easier way to access settings rather than doing it on the device itself. But for those devices that have that AI, like the MyEye or the Read 5, that's what's giving the device access to that AI so that, if a user walks into a public building, they don't have to try and connect to a Wi-Fi network. As long as the app is connected, their device will work.
Yeah, and look, let's be honest. I mean, this was one of the big selling points of OrCam back in the day when I remember talking to OrCam first when this product came out and these products came out, was the privacy aspect, right? So, when you're using this device, I mean, let's just detach it from the AI for a second. When you're using this device to scan information, let's say it's personal information like a bill or, information, you want to make sure that information is private. We say this all the time on the show. OrCam makes that possible. Now, obviously, with the AI, we can maybe discuss that in a bit more detail, but the device itself in its offline mode is very secure, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. So when you read something with the devices, nothing is being saved into a cloud. It's not something OrCam can access or anybody else. So it reads right from the device. Once the image is gone, that's it. It's gone forever unless you take a new picture. So it is very secure. They still are very secure. With the AI, so for example, on our Read 5, let's say a student is not going to be necessarily allowed to use AI for testing. There is a toggle switch, so you can turn it off completely, or you can just delete the app or disconnect it from the app, and then you lose the connection to the internet, and then it remains offline.
I did not even think about that, actually, in education. Of course, you can't be having...
Why not?
Well, I mean, I could tell you some stories, but I won't, about my own educational career, but I'd probably have to revoke my license for my education.
It's the new digital way of writing on the back of your hand.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, I mean, aside from privacy, because lots of people care about privacy, I don't. I think the
He's
problem...
hopeless, Corinne. I swear
I don't care.
He is hopeless. He doesn't care about privacy at all.
No, I will give up my privacy as long as my life's easier. But the thing that I'm finding is that, with these other options that are out there, as good as they are, as soon as I step into a building and I lose my internet data connection, they're gone. So, the on-device option is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you, I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and of course, everybody walking around with, devices that are using Wi-Fi, nothing was working. It was really bad service in the building. And of course, the OrCams then still work. If you're in a situation where you've got absolutely no Wi-Fi or no cell coverage, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're not going to be able to ask it those questions. But everything else, all of the other features are still going to function because they're completely offline.
But let's talk about that AI side of things. So what about the data when you're taking an image and you're using AI on that image? Where is that information going?
It processes to our cloud and it stays there for 20 minutes and then it disappears from the cloud.
Oh, that's nice. And are you using any of that for training your own AI?
I can't answer too many of the development questions.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay, interesting. So, I mean, look, it's great to hear that things are well at OrCam, and that's the important thing for us, because I think a lot of people felt that, you were leaving the space. And look, we said it on the show, we wouldn't have been hugely surprised if that happened, because, the evolution in AI absolutely eats into your lunch a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, you can't deny that with all these products and services that are out there now, they're all kind of doing very similar things. But do you feel that OrCam still has enough of a USP at the moment to survive what is an onslaught of apps featuring AI?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think, it goes back to simplicity too. I was a blind rehab specialist for many years, and the OrCam was always a device that, regardless of your tech experience, it's a simple device. It's easy to use. And again, you don't need that Wi-Fi connection. You don't need a cell phone to operate it. So I think there's still a lot of users that really benefit from it.
And do you have distributors set up in pretty much every country where people may want to buy these?
Just about. We sell globally, so they're all over.
Fantastic. Cool. Listen, Corinne, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm glad we're all friends again. This is good, and I'm glad that things are going well at OrCam and it's all continuing. So good to hear, and keep up the good fight. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that was nice, Shaun. It was nice to catch up with Corinne and find out what's actually going on over at OrCam finally. So that is good to hear, and
yes.
Irrespective of your feelings, and I know there's lots of people had different feelings about OrCam products, and I don't know how many of us feel bad now saying, we thought it would die, and wouldn't be surprised if it did. Now we're kind of like, it's still here. And look, at the end of the day, I have to say, there are a lot of people out there who would really struggle to use a smartphone to do the kind of things that they would want OrCam to do, and that's exactly why a product like that exists. Now, you can argue the toss about it, but ultimately it is going to be a niche product, although they have been trying, and I've seen adverts on television over here for this product, and they're really trying to sell it to a wide range of people, rather than just blind people, which I think is actually a really smart move. It's one way to secure its future, I think. Yeah,
but it's just, an easy, accessible in terms of the users getting to grips with it. Their devices, that's what they're good at. So I think it's just good to hear that, everything, it seems to be, OrCam seems to have settled. And, for those people that have bought or are thinking about buying it, there's a little bit more confidence and happiness that, okay, we know what's happening now. And look, again, when we mentioned it and we were a bit playful at the start of that, communication is key.
Well, we've said it, we've been saying it for long enough. But you know what? Fair play to them. I mean, obviously they've got things sorted out. Yep. And now they've kind of got their ducks in a row again. They got in touch with us and they said, look, we want to come on and clarify. So I think, it took a while. But you know what? Yep. Better to turn up late to the party than not turn up at all. Unless, of course, it's me, because I hate parties.
Okay, very good. Just putting out there. Spoil it at the end. That was
absolutely.
So nice.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Oh, ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Not a lot of time left today, but we'll get some emails in. Let's go to Eric first off.
Hola, Double Tappers. It was great meeting you guys at CSUN. My question about GoodMap is there a way to create routes on GoodMap, or are you limited to whatever the company has mapped previously? I'm looking for something to map my local gym so I could find my way around to the different areas. From Eric Ponce de Leon.
Oh, no.
The gym?
Another navigation one. And gym as well.
Oh, dear. Asking us, Eric? I mean, come on.
Oh,
lovely to meet you too, by the way. It was lovely to meet you at CSUN.
Yes. The answer is no. There isn't a way to set a route or mark, drop breadcrumbs or mark markers in Good Maps. It is solely what's in the map that is supplied. So no, not that I know of, at least in the Good Maps I'm thinking of, unless there's another version out there.
No, that's very much controlled by the company itself.
That's very difficult. Again, we've heard things about breadcrumbs, but that could be based on GPS. We're talking about internal, indoor navigation here where the GPS signal may not be available. Very tricky. Throw it out to our listeners. Come on.
I'm kind of thinking about Clue, if that's still going. CLEW. I mean, I don't know if that would solve the problem.
Clue,
I know it's more about
AI.
navigation internally. Seeing AI. I can't remember what that's called now, that feature they have in there.
Indoor navigation.
Well, I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. There is an indoor navigation section in Seeing AI as well. So
Should say often I use it.
I'm just not sure. Look, they're great concepts. I don't know anyone who's using them all the time for things like that. I honestly don't know, but maybe there are people out there.
The problem is it's a great feature, but it isn't something you'd use all the time, because unless you were going to different places all the time, right? Most people will be going to, if they're at home, they know their way around. They might use it to demonstrate that, and we've seen that in demos that we had when we had Robin Christopherson on doing a demo just like that. But he knows where his bedroom is in his house, so he doesn't need to use it for that all the time. I mean, going to a hotel, again, someone would have to walk the route with you. You'd have to do the mapping, and there's that reality. I think it's like that real life factor that comes in, where you think, yeah, okay, this all sounds great, and I love the idea, but by the time I get to the room, someone's probably taken me to it. If I go to a hotel on my own, a member of staff will help me get to the room. And then, of course, that's that initial journey lost. Then I have to find my way out of there. I'm so busy trying to navigate back to where I started that, I end up just using an IRA call or a Be My Eyes call to get out of that situation. So I'm not able to map.
There may be easier options. Yeah. Well, look, with all that being said, I haven't tried Clue or Seeing AI indoor navigation in the longest time. So maybe that has improved. I did try using Clue to set up a route from my hotel room to the elevators a few years back. And it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't as well. It was just a little bit clunky. So you end up, it's easier if I just clonk my way down the corridor and I'll find it using my cane. But doing that in a gym is slightly different. You're trying not to avoid hitting people, especially if they're fit and healthy and muscly. So, honestly, that's a really difficult problem to fix.
Yeah, this is the challenge, isn't it? You want to be independent, but then, and of course, a lot of these gyms now, and I mean, I must have been last time I was in a gym, it was a long time ago, but I do know people tell me, I've never been in them, but people tell me that when they go to these places, they're on their own, right? There's no one else, very few staff, if any staff at all. Some of them are, they have, systems where you go in and you swipe a card and that opens the doors. There's no one there.
That's right.
It's all kind of locked up and
trying to use something. Let's say there's a Wi-Fi connection available. Using a camera for a service like IRA or Be My Eyes in that environment,
that can be tricky.
It can be very tricky and cause some issues. So, yeah.
Let's hear what Leander has to say.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. Thanks once again for a great show. It's Leander. Absolutely loved the episode featuring the Hable Easy. Absolutely fantastic piece of equipment by the sounds of it. Interesting how it's been kept under wraps for such a long while, but pleased it's out in the open now. And I'm sure that'll benefit so many people. Also, Stephen, I totally agree with you about the Rivo 2 keyboard. Well, you had to be a Philadelphia lawyer to use it when I had one. Lovely little piece of equipment and so small. And like you, I love the fact that you can take calls on it. But the text message keyboard layout, when you were trying to enter text, was absolutely unbelievable. And I spoke to Steve Nutt. He was very helpful because I bought it at Site Village one year from him at his stall at Computer Room Services. And he told me what keys to press, and I can't remember what there were now, and I know it wasn't as easy as pressing them. You had to sort of hold one and press the other as quick or something to get it back to a standard 2 for ABC, 3 for DEF keyboard. And I said, how come it's so different then? He said, this keyboard, what they use as a default is one that they say it combines the letters on each key, what people use the most. Well, I tried it and I couldn't work out. Whoever had worked that out can't be writing English. But anyway, there you are. Sort of made me smile a bit. So anyway, thanks once again for a wonderful show and look forward to future episodes.
Well, I mean, look, in all seriousness, I don't think you're far off the mark here, right? Because this is a Korean product, it's a Korean company. The manual has clearly been translated from Korean into English, and it hasn't really been updated by someone who speaks English, I don't think. So that's the reality we've got here. Now, that may be why the keyboard is set in that way on the Revo 2. Now, I did finally manage to get it into T9 mode. Now, from what I read in the manual, that's not the preferred way of doing it. They want you to use this other method, and apparently you'll lose some features by using the T9 keyboard. It is, I must admit, it is a little bit convoluted for me. I like it. I love the design of it. It takes a lot to figure out. I know you might, I don't know what you're going to say, but I would guess you're going to say, well, the Hable 1 wasn't that easy to figure out either, and I get that, but at least there was a kind of sense of, once you knew Braille, you could kind of figure out the rest, right?
Really? What's the Hable 1 command for, muting or changing the volume, let's say?
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
I can't remember anything.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with what you said. I think the only thing we got to be careful of is that we're saying, this is just wrong or it's not great, when the case is that maybe we haven't invested enough time in it to learn those keyboards or how that default keyboard works. It may turn out to be absolutely fantastic.
I think it is great. I know I love the design of it. I love the idea of it. I think it's clearly they've thought about a lot. I mean, it's voiceover specific, right? So you have tons of commands in there, but it's just trying to retain all this. And if you've got it, great. But I'm hearing from more people now who are getting in touch and saying, yeah, I bought one. I had to send it back. I couldn't get to grips with it. I think there has to be a basic level of understanding, a simple entry-level approach to getting into this. So you have this of basics, right, to get started on it. And then get deep into the advanced modes and all the feature stuff that you can do. Like, for example, moving by character or word to word. That's all great, but I don't want to learn all that first. I just want to do basic navigation. And I've kind of worked out basic navigation, and I'm sticking with it. I'm not giving up on it. I mean, there was a temptation to send it back, but you know me, I'm never going to do that. So I'll hold on to it, and I will stick with it because I really do like it, and there's a lot to like. It's just taking a bit more time. I'm not really being critical. I don't want to be critical of it, and I don't think I am being critical of it. I just think I'm being honest about my experience using it, and other people have been getting in touch saying similar. So I don't feel like it's just me, right? There's clearly a learning curve on this. Maybe more than I was expecting from such a tiny device.
I'm not saying you were being critical, but I just want to make it clear to people that this could be a case of this has a learning curve to it. It could be absolutely fantastic once you learn all that.
Yeah.
And looks like it actually would be. But it is difficult. Hey, the Hable Easy, same hardware. It's just basically an easy way in. Maybe that's the answer for the Revo 2.
I also have to say, I think the development team, I reach out to Revo. I hear nothing back, right? I get in touch with the Hable team, and I'm getting response all the time, and they're actually factoring in things we're talking about, right? So I think, that's an important factor for me. If something's not working, I feel at least I've got a support line where I can go back to that company. Again, that matters as well. I mean, look, we kind of end up back to where we started, right? Communication is everything.
Yeah,
so there you go. But anyway, look, that's it for today. Thank you so much to Corinne Nero for joining us today from OrCam. So glad they were back on with us. Thank you for all your feedback as well. We're going to get into more of that tomorrow on the show. For now, though, have a great day. Have a great night. Shaun, be careful out there because you never know where that plant pot might be.
Thank you.
That's the fun game you're going to play going home tonight. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Plant pot.